compliment of the season. Merry Christmas in advance to you and a prosperous New Year as well. Now, moving on to the next matter of discussion, I did mention earlier today, or at the start of the conversation rather, today is International Anti-Corruption Day. And International Anti-Corruption Day, by the way, it has been observed annually 9 December since the passage of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption on 31 October 2003 to raise awareness, to raise public awareness for anti-corruption. Corruption affects all areas of society. Preventing corruption unlocks progress towards the sustainable development goals, helps protect our planet, creates jobs, achieves gender equality, and secures wider access to essential services such as healthcare and education. And this is according to the United Nations, by the way. Just a moment. So, several talking points we're discussing as far as this matter is concerned. No doubt, when we hear the matter of corruption or anti-corruption in Nigeria, is one that captures the attention of everyone. But at the moment, we're supposed to be waging a war on corruption in the country at the moment. So the question is Nigeria winning the war on corruption? We talk about a country, a society that's truly anti-corruption. Is such a society realistic, or is it simply an ideal? How far have we fared in stamping out corruption in our country? These and several matters we're discussing right now. However, a quick break, and when I return, we'll delve right into the conversation. Do please state it.
We connect you to the world. We connect you to the vicinity. We are Nigeria Info.
Listen to me, I said this is a real situation and the government has to do something about it. What are you trying to insinuate? All these people looting Nigeria's money? You think
This is Nigeria Info, in the heart of Nigeria.
92.3.
We are Nigeria Info.
A clean surrounding is a collective effort.
Diseases could be avoided
With good hygiene practice, be more responsible with how you dispose waste products. The environment will be better looking without litter and exposed garbage. We love our city clean. This message is from 92.3 Nigeria Info.
News, 6 a.m.
Your Excellency, I have been asked to summon you to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
That position has always been very clear. The forthcoming election is sensitive and decisive.
News, 12 noon.
The abandoned project by the former administration, it's a problem.
I have spoken with my people. We all agree that from today there shall be no vandalization.
News, 6 p.m.
You don't sell assets to country. If there is need for it, to sell assets, to invest, to use to create wealth.
Tune in to our major bulletins at 6 a.m., 12 noon, and 6 p.m. 6 a.m., 12 noon, and 6 p.m. And our updates every hour on the hour on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
We give the facts.
News entirely.
We give the evidence. Just to keep you informed.
News, weather. I get my information top of the hour every hour.
92.3 Nigeria Info.
A clean surrounding is a collective effort.
Diseases could be avoided
With good hygiene practice, be more responsible with how you dispose waste products. The environment will be better looking without litter and exposed garbage. We love our city clean. This message is from 92.3 Nigeria Info.
We connect connect you to the world. We connect you to the vicinity. We are Nigeria Info.
Listen to me, I said this is a real situation and the government has to do something about it. What are you trying to insinuate? All these people looting Nigeria's money? You think
This is Nigeria Info, in the heart of Nigeria.
92.3.
We are Nigeria Info.
And now, Hard Facts. Hard Facts with Dio.
Welcome back to the Hot Factor 91.3 Nigeria Info here in Port Harcourt and Dio. 18 minutes gone past 4 p.m. Discussions still continue. Apologies for that break. Yeah, there we are. There we go. Still back to the matter. It's International Anti-Corruption Day. They gave some background to that earlier on. Of course, if you listen to the start of the show today at about 3 p.m., I did mention I was going to be having two guests in the studio to join me for this conversation. Both of them lawyers. Barrister Marshall Jumbo, Dr. Marshall Jumbo, and the barrister Kelechi Nwuzi. However, one of my guests just walked into the studio now. Dr. Marshall Jumbo, lawyer, is here. Hello, Dr. Jumbo. Good evening to you. Welcome to Hardback.
Good evening. Thank you.
And compliment to the season to you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So today is International Anti-Corruption Day. In your experience, what might be the essence of that? And I ask that for certain reasons. Now, I constantly joke that there is an international day, or maybe not so international, but there is a day to observe just about anything the human mind can imagine. And of course, one of them, and this is international, is an International Anti-Corruption Day. In your opinion, what might be the essence of an International Anti-Corruption Day?
Well, thank you very much, Daya. I think it's bringing about consciousness to what corruption is and how it has taken over society and belabours us so much to get things right done, especially in Africa where it's prevalent and endemic. So it's good to draw our consciousness to the fact that corruption is not really good for us as a developing nation. But actually, I have a little bit of departure to making out a day in the year to actually talk about corruption. I think it should be a daily discussion, informally and formally, even at homes and all that. We should have that depth in consciousness to know that this is killing Africa. And Africans, especially Nigerians, should know that this is a serious thing. We have to really tackle it head on, not maybe marking a day ceremonially and with good high-falutin discussions, grammar, fanfare and all that. It's really not. We should take it as part of an everyday event.
You talk about the impact of corruption on Africa and African countries, and how it's destroying us, be that as it may. And many times with a lot of envy, we compare Africa to Western countries and talk about how highly developed they are and how forward-thinking and forward-moving they are. However, is there any society that's completely devoid of corruption or corrupt tendencies?
Thank you very much. You see, I am of the school of thought that, when we do this when we were younger, we keep talking about neo-colonialism and all that. But we've come of age with our writings these days and symposia, seminars and all that. We now tell the world that no, we don't have to blame the white man for everything that's gone wrong in Nigeria. They are as corrupt as we are. But they have their differences. They have institutions. These institutions are devoid of people. The institutions are just there, doing what they are doing, making sure people go to jail, making sure people don't beat the system. They're institutions. You come in and you go, and the institution remains. But in Nigeria, somebody occupies an institution, he wants to make it ethnic, he wants to bring some colorations to it, to make it... In fact, the man who is supposed to take care of the institution is the man that kills the institution. So you find out that here, the institution don't work here. But out there, the institutions are just there. Every small crime, you see people working, you see institutions, even the presidents of all those developers are not even like above the institution. Look at what Donald Trump is going through today. Different kind of panels and it's coming. They're calling all of them to book. That's how it's supposed to be. But somebody gets away with every crime here. You hire the best lawyers and you just go around, bend institutions, and you go away with it.
Now, the concept of an anti-corrupt society.
Yes.
Is it simply an ideal, or is it realistic?
Difficult one. But let me hazard some good guesses. You see, there is no society that will be devoid of corruption. So if you want to say you want to clear away corruption, crime, and all that, it's going to be quite utopian. We're very, very utopian. It's nothing, it's cosmetic, you can't really achieve it. But if you have a modicum of control, that's why the laws are made. The laws are made because when laws are made, they are made because people will break the law. People will be corrupt. That's why laws are there. That's why institutions are there. That's why they're operational. But if you say you want to achieve a zero corrupt society, I think it's utopian. It's high up there. But what we're talking about is the magnitude of or the rate of that corruption that weighs down the societal growth. That's what we're talking about now.
And how would you say Nigeria ranks with respect to the Committee of Nations as far as this weight of corruption and the weighs down things are concerned?
Yes, we all know. We all know what it is. We are Nigerians. We have to tell ourselves the truth. We don't have problem. We have good people in this country, but you see, corruption had taken us to another level. I get very, very pained and ashamed when I read that Nigeria ranks amongst the most corrupt nations in the world. But we all see it. You see our leaders. You see those who rule us. High, good houses, mansions everywhere, houses everywhere. Somebody will come and steal an institution called the pensions fund. Someone will steal it to billions, and the person is just there talking. The person is just there walking around. And we're all playing games with that. So the corruption is in them, even in the schools. Down, it's going down to schools, it's going down to families. Children don't like take instruction from their parents. If you see your son coming back with one big car, you don't have any moral standing to even tell the child, why are you getting this car from? You don't have that moral standing, because you two are corrupt. You're not even a fine example. Somebody presses some buttons and they call it Yahoo and all that thing. And the person comes out with, your son comes out with a good car, your child comes home with phone of 300 and something thousand. You can't afford it. You didn't give her the money, or you didn't buy the car for him. You don't even have the moral standing to stand in his presence and say, no, take this car back, or who gave you this car? I'm going to discipline, but you are also corrupt. The moral standing of you can't even implement it. So it becomes, and then it has permeated into the arteries of the families. When it has gone so low that what are you talking about? The people of that's why criticizing. We Nigerians were good at criticizing, analyzing and everything. Sometimes when I sit out with my friends and we keep criticizing, I tell them rulership is just there. By the time they give you the same thing to do, these people you still be the same. It's a cycle, a vicious cycle of the same thing. So what we should be talking about now is not even the definition of it, and we all know it. We're not talking about the methodology of it, and we all know it. What we're talking about is what are we going to do? What are our recommendations? How are we going to fight? How are we going to make our institutions stronger? How are we going to, the foundations of the fundamentals of this country, how are we going to make it stronger? How are we going to make them stronger? The family values and all that. We have to do something about that, consciously, collectively and individually.
We talked about the family.
Yes.
Being the smallest unit of any society,
yeah.
Of course, including ours. And we will come back to the family in a moment. However, no doubt government has a major role to play, as far as especially ending institutionalized corruption. And that is a comment or an expression you hear ever so often these days. Apparently in an attempt by some to separate or make a distinction between corruption and institutionalized corruption.
Yes.
We'll also come to that in a moment. However, this government, the federal government that is, made a huge fanfare, especially whilst trying to come in the first time, of a huge fanfare of waging war on corruption. And I don't want to limit this conversation to the federal government only, because even governments at different levels in the country, across the various states, have also at one point or the other made comments about a war on corruption, or at least running a transparent and open government, even if it's just during the course of campaigns for elections. Aspirants make such comments and all that. So at different levels, at different times and stages, different governments, individuals, at various levels of government across the country have talked about running an open system, a transparent system. One person said they're waging a war on corruption. How well has the country fared in all of these various attempts and promises and maybe actions, as the case may be, to wage this full frontal assault on corruption?
Yes, that is a brilliant question. Corruption is a behemoth now. is so big, so gigantic now that I think it's not about lip service. It's not about picking up your campaign papers and you go out and you reel out what you're going to do, what you're not going to do. We've heard that, even the Buhari we're talking about, I was quite young when he came and war against indiscipline. Then he did it with Fiat, with military Fiat. We started queuing up, people were executed, Kenneth Modibo, they were executed and all that because of cocaine and all that. We also were, but that was done with executive military Fiat. You didn't have anybody coming to tell you about human rights. You didn't have anybody down coming on your neck to say, if you want to really fight corruption, I have always said it, set up a court. We have the assembly, the National Assembly will have to enact new laws to back that special court for corruption. That court will be domesticated to the local governments even, with backed by law. And then people will be prosecuted. People will be afraid. Look, if I do this, these people are just breathing down on my neck. And so many other ways.
How would that differ from the existing structure we have?
Okay.
No, besides the fact that we may have more courts, or it's a different, structurally, it's obviously different. We have more courts and different courts with different tagline or name.
Yes.
But systemically speaking,
yes.
how is that different?
Yes, you have. They muted it when they came to power. Anti-corruption court, specially designed for corruption. Specially designed for corruption. It will be within the constitution. It will be backed by law. Because this is a special problem, and we have to handle it specially. Because if a man steals, for instance, a man steals 10 billion today, 10 billion naira today, you want to prosecute that man, how are we going to jail him?
Yeah, but our courts already says, our laws rather, already says that it's illegal to steal 10 billion naira.
Yes, yeah.
If you go to our courts right now, and the judiciary as it currently is constituted, there's nowhere where the law says it's okay to allow a man steal 10 billion naira. No, it is still a crime to steal 10 billion
Yes, it's
naira.
a crime. I was coming to that. Assume a man steals like a dog, that happens every time. What will he do? Battery of sons. He hired battery of sons. 15 sons, 30 sons will appear in court to back that man. By the time they stall cases, they go behind, do their business. I don't want to be specific anyway.
This special courts can still have a battery of sons attending.
No, the special courts will be backed by special laws, which are not like the ones you have that there are lacunas in this our own now.
That says you can't have 15 sons representing.
No, they can come, but the moral bondage there becomes very, very prevalent. You don't just come out like that. You can come out, but you cannot circumvent the system. The system will now not be circumvented because you can't just hire sons and they'll stall the cases, call their men and go to court, bravado and all that. Check out what happens at the Tinubu cases. Cases, I don't want to be specific because I'm on air. I don't want to be specific. How many people have we jailed in this country who we know has stolen money, who have done messed up our economy? How many have we jailed? The case takes there and dies. How many have we jailed? If you're talking of corruption, the way it is, the way it's prevalent in this country, that means at least every year we must have like 50, 60 of them in jail.
Talking about setting up special structures, we've been putting in place several systems. We've had quite a few. We've tinkered a bit with setting up, special structures and systems to address corruption. Maybe not this special court as you've just mentioned. There are several others you've mentioned, but there have been some ideas that have tinkered with. Some have been implemented. We'll address some of those in a moment when we return from the break. It is Hard Facts 90.3 Nigeria Info here in Port Harcourt. It is International Anti-Corruption Day. Lawyer Dr. Marshall Jumbo is my guest in the studio. We'll go for a break. We'll return in a moment. Conversation will continue. Please stay with us.
Information is a two-way thing. Nigeria Info, it's your turn. Let's talk.
And now, Hard Facts. Hard Facts with Dio.
Welcome back to Hard Facts 91.3 Nigeria Info and her input Harcourt and Dio. 19 minutes ago before 5 o'clock. Discussions continue. It is International Anti-Corruption Day today. Is Nigeria winning the war on corruption? These and several other related matters we'll discuss at this time. My guest is lawyer Dr. Marshall Jumbo. Dr. Jumbo, you're welcome once again.
Thank you, Dio.
Before the break, you talked about, or you recommended special courts as a means of tackling corruption problem in the country. We're talking about setting up special structures or putting up special systems. You have tinkered with and set up similar, processes already. That's why we have the ICPC, even though we have the police already. Beyond the ICPC, we set up the EFCC also to address matters like this. Talking about even giving further opportunities to Nigerians to help in the war against corruption. We set up some projects, if you will. The whistleblower. We've had the Whistleblower Act or law, as the case may be. But we've had several things have been put in place, specially crafted, specially designed, beyond the regular or normal laws and systems and structures we have to help in this war on corruption. How well have they fared, and how do you suppose that creating something different from this would even help us achieve our goal even better or faster?
Yes. When Obasanjo came to power, and I commend him for creating institutions like the ICPC and EFCC and others. We agree. But, he who creates can kill. In law, green versus green. He who creates the principle is he who creates can kill. So if you create an institution and you are the sole appointer of the people there, I don't think it's really correct. I don't think you want to, because you are not supposed to be even above the anti-corruption institutions you create. You're not supposed to be above them. So if you create them and you appoint those that will work there, that will investigate, that will pursue people, it won't work. It will never work. That's why at a point in time, these institutions were used to chase political opponents. They use them to chase political opponents. And at the end of the day, we ended up not having it. But the idea, the structure, on paper, fantastic. It was like a new hope, a new dawn for Nigerians. A new dawn for Nigerians. But if I create an anti-corruption agency and I appoint my friends or my cronies to people them, how am I going to be investigated? Who is going to investigate me?
If you're saying that, and I believe you're suggesting that the judiciary is independent of the executive, so it might be better suited to function or better, more efficiently and effectively in tackling issues of corruption. We've also, the judiciary as currently constituted has also come under a lot of backlash, has had a spotlight in it. Recently, not too recently, and recently as well, on accusations also of corruption, of judges selling votes, on all kinds of atrocities playing out in the judiciary as well.
Dio, don't make it look like we're hopeless people.
No, I'm not. I'm just I'm just laying out the facts as they are.
Yeah, because we have to have a leeway. We can't accept something that is good, or instead of that we can't do anything about it. No. The judiciary, the police, the executive, the whatever people you call it, we are all Nigerians.
Let's talk about that, the fact that we're Nigerians. Now, a while ago you talked about the family.
Yes, okay.
Very important, how that values and all that have been lost, or, and parents can't or don't question their children anymore these days. And then, of course, we identify government role as well, with laws and all of that, and even setting good examples. So where do we start from if we're going to change this narrative? Yeah. Are we starting from the families? Are we hoping that parents, or we're hoping for a new generation of parents who will bring up their children the proper way? Or is it a government thing to not just set up proper laws, but also ensure those laws are implemented fully as well? Where exactly is the starting point going to be?
Yes, brilliant question again. I think it's going to be very. Let's start it holistically. Let's do it holistically. If you establish or you create institutions that are independent of the political affiliations, professionals who don't have anything to do with politics, they are backed by laws. A man is not afraid to have his remunerations. If he's working, he's paid well. His salary comes on time. His other excess gratias coming. That man will work with all his heart. That man will not care. That man will not. But there are laws. My own is I'm a lawyer, so I dwell more on the laws, the powers that will energize that kind of institution. Like I said before, I'll go back to what I said before. Singapore, they have such courts. They have special courts. The Asian country, most of them have special courts. And if you have such things, it will now water down from the top to the down. So while we see a modicum of inspiration, while we see a modicum of hope, when I emulate, the secondary school will emulate. Let me tell you, Dayo, do you know in 1983, when in the early 80s, when Buhari came to office, war against indiscipline. Before, when I was young, we saw people running to board their crafts. People would run with their luggage to board. In the banks, it was chaotic. Everywhere, bus stops, we were fighting just to board, enter the bus. But when war against indiscipline came, you go to the bus stop, you see a child in primary school stand. You unconsciously or consciously just walk behind that child and stand. You're queuing up. That's where queuing up. It became a culture till today. It has lasted over close to 40 years. It's a culture. We didn't queue up before in this country. Nobody was queuing up. But today it's like I think people came and met. Nobody knows where it's coming from. But it's from why? War against indiscipline. And that was backed by decree, military fiat. And we did. We went to some extent with it. You go to one of your, everybody's on queue. You go to the bank, you're on queue. You want everyone on queue.
So do we need military fiat again?
You want to catch me. But independently, privately, if you ask me, I'll answer, but I'm on air. It's going to be treasonable if I say that. But for me, let me tell you, Dayo. You see, democracy, the kind we are practicing, for me, is not what we should do. Democracy should be autochthonous. It should be the democracy that we design for ourselves. We know our problems. Our democracy should be designed based on our difference, our problems. These things we are talking about. You don't just make it so laissez-faire, so free for all. So free for all. No.
So what about Nigerians once again?
Yes.
And individuals and this perception and this corruption index.
Yes.
You are a member of the Pirates Confraternity.
Yes.
I hope you don't mind my saying.
Yeah, proudly.
Okay, you're a member of the Pirates Confraternity. Your leader or your number one patron, I'm not sure what the right expression is, or your Capone, I think.
Yes.
The much worldwide revered Nobel laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka, arguably the definition of an upright and upstanding fellow, highly respected all over. And I believe as well that he's passed on these virtues and these belief systems and all of that to members of this confraternity, and you hold those ideals in high respect as well, and those are your guiding principles and all that. And I believe that there are other such organizations, and individuals and groups. So how come with all of that we're still having this perception, and I'm sure that members of your organization, the Pirates, are in different walks of life, in the judiciary, in healthcare, in education, in aviation, you name it. So what's going on? What's going wrong? Are those persons or organizations or the Pirates, for example, not contributing enough?
I'll keep thanking you. Yes, I'm a member of National Association of Sea Dogs, also known as Pirates Confraternity. Yes, you mentioned Wole Soyinka, Capone Blood of Tortuga. Yes, as a pirate, the intake, how we bring people into the organization is very rigorous. You go through the crucibles to know your character, what you can contribute to the society, and all that. But let me draw you back to another example. I don't want to be too don't have time. Have Nigerians asked themselves what happened to the Federal Road Safety Commission? It was started. It was like an NGO started by Wole Soyinka about on Lagos Road because of the accident. He now came up and said, no, people can't be dying. And members of this association started it voluntarily before it metamorphosed to road safety, federal road safety. The initial people that started road safety were pirates, 90% pirates. And you can't see road safety picking money on the roads. It was very, very strong. It was an example. It was exemplary. It's on record. But when interference started coming, government bringing in their people to adulterate the system, pirates resigned en masse and left the place. That's why it's like this. Go back and compare Federal Road Safety Commission of those days and today. When the pirates were there, when they were about 90% there, a road marshal cannot stop you on the road and you say, Money, who are you? You can't do it. How much do you have? To bribe a pirate is impossible. You can't do that. Now let me come back to today. The mistake my association made was not going into politics because of our belief, our anti-convention structure, and the way we see ourselves.
That amounts to saying that, Nigerians of upstanding, whether members of your organization or other organizations, yes, or non-affiliated.
Yes.
What I take from that is Nigerians of good standing, generally speaking, have dissociated themselves or alienated themselves from the political process.
Yes, Dayo, in 1999 when this whole process started, a lot of people were filled with apathy. A lot of good men didn't join politics in 1999. But they felt, what am I going to rubbish, man? This serious will give us the democracy. But people had gone into it before, the Babangida experiments and all that, APM, SDP and NRC. So people do not feel so enthused to the 1999 politics. That's at that point, most people that came into politics, most people are just people who didn't have what to do. I won't say I do people, but people who really wanted to take risks or who didn't see anything to lose or gain. But real people, some people refused. So in my organization, we are some one of those people that refused. But today, we are experiencing that thing we didn't do. Today, good people didn't come in 1999. Actually, good people didn't come in. So we are paying for it today.
Well, I have a few comments via Facebook several actually. Maybe do I have time to take a call? Maybe one call. If you have the number, do please call me right now. But via Facebook, Samuel also goes, the corruption in Nigeria is even increasing on a daily basis. Even those that are fighting corruption in Nigeria are the people spoiling the country the more. So Nigeria has not even started fighting corruption yet. Talk less of winning the war on corruption. Adama Gabriel goes, good Adedayo. My own perspective, Buhari's anti-corruption crusade is yielding fruitful results because some sacred cows have been apprehended and charged to court. Buhari's administration has been able to block all the financial loopholes, thereby making it difficult for corrupt politicians to stash our Commonwealth in foreign accounts. AGL4 goes, set no special course to handle corruption cases would not be the solution in fighting corruption to a standstill because the people to manage it would not fall from the sky. But to save Nigerians eating corruption in every sector, only determination can stop corruption in Nigeria. You said a while ago that I shouldn't sound like we're hopeless. if anything, I'm an extremely optimistic Nigerian, and I've gone beyond of optimism. I'm actually quite certain that we're going to have a turnaround and the narrative will change. However, in your estimation, in about a minute, if you will, or two, what must we begin to do now to ensure that narrative changes?
Yes, it's a conscious drive. It's a conscious drive that will do. Sensitization must come in. Good people shouldn't hide any longer. People shouldn't be afraid of going to the prisons or that. Civil societies should come out now. We did it in Abacha's time. Nadeko, we're there. We are there. We all went to the streets. We burned tires of the streets. We disrupted government activities. At the barracks or in front of guns, we did so many things. Even as students, the students are just moribund. They're so like a bicycle. These are people that will come up and tell these people no. We'll sit down here and they increase the rumors of increment in fear. And Nigerians are just watching. We are praying. Prayers can solve this problem. These problems are just within me and you. So there should be a consciousness. People should stand up. The government won't do anything on their own. There has to be change. The change must come from the people. If we actually gave them our sovereignty, we gave our sovereignty to a sovereign, which is the government or the government we're talking about. We should also take it from them. From the people should take it. We have to go to the streets again. We have to go back to the mats. The Italians call it going back to the mats. We have to go back to the mats again. We have to stand up. Where are they? Where are the youths? Where are the young men? Where are the institutions? Where are the NGOs? The NGOs should not come out and go and pick up money from the white men and speak big grammar. They should come out to the streets. This is how you start changing it. That will drive consciousness. That will drive people. That will move people. Change cannot come from those who are holding on to the change. No. You have to change it. We have to change it. There has to be a consciousness, a direct consciousness that will impact on the faces of the society. The youth must involve the youth. The CBOs, everybody must be. The market women must be. We should take our megaphones to the market to sensitize people. Don't be afraid of the guns. We have gone through this before. But we get older, you turn back and you look behind. You don't see anybody around you. You start asking, is this Nigeria? What generation are we talking about? Is it Nigeria we used to know? That prior to all told them we won't do it. Well, we went up and marched. The schools were closed.
This is a never-ending conversation, I imagine. And there's only so much time we can afford at any one time to have this conversation, or any other conversation for that matter. But we have to wrap this one up on this note. Thanks for being a part of it, especially my guest in the studio, lawyer Dr. Marshall Jumbo. He's joined the conversation on the International Anti-Corruption Day in Nigeria and how we will fed in the country in dealing with this. Dr. Jumbo, many thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, Daya. I appreciate it.
Commercial break right now. We got the news update at 5 p.m. When I return, how were you affected by the unusually, unexpectedly early closure of the Rumola flyover yesterday?